Alright, here we are with the video we promised. That right there is the new K5LA we're working on. You can see we got it mounted up, we just haven't tuned it yet. Looks pretty killer. We got our special valve mounted on the back of it. Well, not mounted yet, but it's getting there. Here we are, we have all our parts. We're going to show you how to put one of these together. There's the new RS5T. Go ahead and leave it there so we might refer to it. And that one's mounted, special valve. Here's a list. We had some questions. Feel free to pause this and look at this. And that's our length pipe. Although we don't recommend it because it's different every time. So there it is, and there's our length or size hose for each of the power chambers. We can see how we get that hole. Take a dowel rod, sand it down until it fits in there. We drive it in there and then take a drill bit index and drill that hole out. It goes all the way through. So, oops, this is how you put one of these together.
All right, this is how we go about doing ours. I want to show you the difference of the pipes and some things you're going to have to do. This project is not for everybody, but we're going to show you our method. Okay, you see this is the complete parts for a one bell all the way down through here. Okay, first of all, this is a regular 3-inch fitting that we use for the power chamber. This is a brand new one. This was after we get done. You see the difference? We've shaved the top of this off in order to shorten the number of 4 and 5 bells. If you don't do that, it's just not going to get high enough. So anyway, we cut this one down, took about 3/8 off of this. Then the next step is you just go ahead and lay out in 3 equal parts for your hose that you're going to be putting your retainer ring in, in a second. Okay, once that's done, this is our bushing that we use. There's a brand new one right there, and we cut this down in order to fit in here where it goes all the way in. You want that, to seat real, nicely down to shorten the length all we can. And then our adapter piece, there's the new one. You see we've cut it as well. We cut it, a good portion of that away. Okay. Once that's done, our bushing that goes inside that, the same way, there's a new one, and we've sawed it down to about that long, And then at that point, you put all of these 3 pieces together and you end up with this. And that's what it looks like with all these parts glued together. Okay, at this point, you've already got this glued in here. And the next step that you want to do is go ahead and drill and tap and put this piece in at this point, because you want to put this in first. Otherwise, you don't want to have to worry about lining these holes up. You can just drill through the whole thing and it works out really nice. Okay, once you get to this step, the retainer or the front ring, we cut real short. That's just a little bit thicker than 1/8 of an inch. And the reason we use the gray PVC electrical conduit is because the white kind around here is cell core and it's not near as strong. So we chose to use the gray PVC, the electrical conduit. Okay, once this is in here, this is a very important part, is this rubber. We've told you before, want to show you over here. This is exactly what this is. We've tried several different kinds of rubbers, and this is what worked out best for us. It's real spongy. You can see a piece of it right there. I mean, it really recovers quick. It's actually sponge rubber and not a foam rubber. Okay, we put a layer in, 1 layer, a 1/16 polycarbonate diaphragm on it, put another layer of rubber, and then put the 3rd one on top of that. At that point, once you get them compressed, you want to take and measure to the back of whatever you have in there that's left over and add a 1/2 inch to that. So that's the compression ratio that we come up with. You got 3 pieces and you're squeezing it by a 1/2 inch. And when you stick your retaining ring in there, it should be sticking out about a 1/2 inch like that. And by them all being the same size, we know that when we squeeze this flush like that, they'll all be the same. Okay? At that point, once you get to there, you end up, you've got your diaphragms in there. Here you are right here. They're already squeezed in, nice and tight. You take this piece, put some Teflon tape on it. We was using hand soap, but we found out that, you know, this stuff is cheap and it works really actually better. So then you just screw this in here until you start feeling a little back pressure. You don't want to get too tight because you want to leave yourself a little bit of room for air. Okay, once you get there, then you can take and measure just like this, all the way to the back of the diaphragm. In this case, it's 3.5 inches. Okay, you screw this back out, and this is going to tell you two things. Now, you can hold that at 3.5 inches, just like that, and read the back side, which is 1.5 inches. And that's going to tell you exactly the length that you're going to cut your coupling. Okay, this was a new one we just took. Say you can buy a repair coupling. Unfortunately, we don't have them, so we just filed this out, that little ring in there, and sawed it down to 1.5 inches. And there you go right there. Okay, there's a new one, and that tells us exactly the length. Okay, at that point, you can see that you put your coupling on there. We draw a line on here, just like this. There's your coupling. We know that we want 1/8 of an inch. So we put a line on there, and we just glue this and squeeze it up till we hit our line. But one thing we did do, we studied a bunch of train horns, and for whatever reason, the higher the bell, the further distance this is. We found no effect in the sound it makes, but we did do some research on how air flows through orifices, so they did it, so we chose to do the same thing. But at that point, you glue this on here, and this is number 2 bell. You see it's a little bit further than 1/8. We increased ours by 1/16. We started out with 1/8 and then increased this distance by 1/16 all the way to 3/8 here. Okay, at this point, that's what you're looking like. That's glued and fixed up. And you're going to take this piece right here that becomes this, the chamber housing, and you slide this in here just like that, all the way down. Now you're going to mark it right here, put your little mark on there. Pull this back out, and that tells you where you can put your glue so it doesn't get messy. Glue all this, then you just shove that in there, like that right there, and now there's your bell complete. And at that point, we set them up and run super glue around this edge and just let it set and dry. And then we also put a little bead of super glue around this too, just for extra strength. And when the finished product, there it is. And we start out with all these pipes being long, and we don't recommend using a certain size pipe at all because it makes a big difference when you get ready to tune it. Okay, now at that point you got your complete bell. There it is. It's ready to be tuned. And the way we go about tuning it, I just want to show you some funnel flares. That's what the full funnel, we just cut the ring, the little bead ring that it has on there. We cut it off, a pair of 10 snips, and that's what we flared it out to. And we learned how to do this, and we would like to make another video and show you. Unfortunately, we did crush a few cones, and it takes a little bit of patience, and you'll probably mess up one or two, but it really looks good, and we're thinking it's going to make a huge difference on the sound quality. Okay, this is how we tune. We take with a regulator, we hook our air hose in here, and we crank our regulator up to 10 pound of pressure with the throttle open. If you set it on 10 pound and you crack the throttle, it's going to drop back to hardly nothing. With 10 pound running through it, we then slowly start screwing this in till it makes noise. And once it starts making noise, whatever note that we want to get to, we go ahead and start shaving it off, and then we end up putting our funnel on there and the fine tuning. We're not going to have time. We're going to have to make another video. So we're running out of time here, and hope this helps on your horn, and we'll make another one as quickly as we can and show you how to tune the low bell on this. And thanks for watching, and we'll be back.